TSF Entertainment.
Yo, welcome back to TSF Entertainment. This time we bring you BMF Season 4, Episode 4. And I got my cohort with me, none other than the BMF Detroit expert himself, Jack Jordans.
What's going on?
What's going on, bro? First thoughts?
Again, we're getting progressively better. It's definitely, I think it's a time jump a little bit, but we'll get into that. As we always do, if I had to grade it between 1 and 10, I'd say it's probably about a 7.
I'd agree. I give it a 7. It wasn't a bad episode. Like you said, I can see it's starting to ramp up a little bit more. I think we're finally about to get into the whole Meech and Terry split. But this is also another reason why I don't think this is also the last season, because we too far behind. Which we now found out from this episode, we are now 95. So we way bro, there's we ain't even that. They got 6, 7. We didn't get to the 2000s yet. So that's why I don't think this is the last season. But let's go ahead and get into it. Episode 4 synopsis says Meech and Terry continue to focus on Stomping Ground Records and on their full court press to sign Purdy in St. Louis. Things are getting tense as their business partner creates more rivals than friends. So here, of course, as we stated last week, we think now every episode is going to start off with them in Mexico for what it looks like to show the division between Meech and Terry. And we see all three of them along with Loco. They finally make it to some type of little convenience store. Look like they had been out walking in the desert for a long time. And while they getting water, Loco realizes, I think they were cops, right?
Yeah.
2 cops roll up. And when they roll up, Loco ends up handling one of them to get the gun from him, and Meech and Terry end up jumping the other one. And then after they jump the other one, they handcuffed them to some type of pole and had them stripped down. And Loco shows why he's Loco, starts to shoot rounds at their feet, basically saying dance or whatever. And then he tells Dimitri, yeah, go ahead and do the exact same thing, to which, of course, Meech does, and Terry doesn't like that at all. He's like, that's not what we're here for. We already got their guns. We got them, tied up. Let's just go ahead and get out of here before somebody else rolls up. But Meech, of course, listen to Loco. He has a little bit of fun, and he goes off and let off a few rounds at the cops' feet. And they eventually end up leaving the convenience store. So fast forward, now we are in Atlanta, and we can see Purdy is in the booth rapping instead of singing, which something that she wanted to do, and she's working with none other than Meech and Duffy. And Duffy tells her, you can get free time, free studio time as much as you want. You know what I'm saying? I got the beats. You just come in here, do whatever. And Meech tells her, you're going to be the first artist we signed to Stomping Ground Records. But she kind of gives him a little background on Trail and tells him, Trail's not somebody you really want to mess with. And, if, you're not in the music business, who's backing you? Where you basically, since, where you getting all this money from and how you think you're going to, take me from Trail and stuff like that. And Duffy tells her if Meech says it, then it's going to become reality for her. So here back in Detroit, we got Mama Lucille and her cousin Estelle walking around in the fur, and Mama Lucille is not really able to handle leading her flock as she has the exact same problems her flock is having. And Estelle is the one hey, you tripping, you need to keep this coat, as she was going to sell the coat to get over to get some money to make payments. And cousin Estelle's like, nah, pawn your wedding ring, the marriage is over with, you keep this coat, you keep doing what you're doing. And Lucille tells her, she's also trying to get on welfare, but she's not able to get on welfare because Charles is still living in the house, which is insane to me. But Estelle is leading her down the wrong path that she tells her, Uncle Sam don't know nothing about this, don't need to know nothing about this. You go ahead and apply the welfare and you get rid of that wedding ring since you are no longer quote unquote married, and it's done, to which Lucille is like, you know what, you correct, and we're gonna sell this wedding ring. And I'm just like, man, Mama Lucille. It's weird because it was like, what was it? Last season it was Charles, and now it's done like a 180. No, last season, that's right. Lucille was messing around with the doctor, but now it's just like this whole 180. Oh, it's almost like she's the villain this season instead of it being Charles.
I think that's exactly what they're doing, man. Like last season, she was messing with Doctor Feelgood. Then now she's just kind of like holier than thou. It seems like that she's extremely judgmental. My thing is this: you didn't want the coat because of where it came from, right? But you want to take a coat and you want to sell a coat. It's the same exact thing, whether or not you taking the money from me and he's giving you the money, or you taking something he got you and you selling it for a profit. It's the same exact thing. Who are you fooling?
Exactly, because there's not only that, for one, you probably wouldn't have got as much as Meech paid for the fur, number one. But just like you said, it's the same exact thing. Like, okay, I'm gonna go pawn this coat when you could have just got the money from Meech. Because even if you pawn it and somebody from your flock see, they're gonna be like, well, okay, well, where you get this from?
From a coat that was bought with drug money.
Exactly. So it's gonna be the exact same thing. So that's a great point, by the way. So we got T here looking like a fake Scarface. T is here in this restaurant. And if you saw our prediction video, we predicted that he was talking to none other than B Mickey, as he summoned B Mickey to do a job for him. And during the course, they still do not trust him 100%, and they have B Mickey strip all the way down to make sure that he's not wired. And during the process, T tells B Mickey that he needs him to work with Hoop to do some things while he's out of town because he feels a certain person is feeling unloyal. So he wants him on surveillance with Hoop while he's going out of town to St. Louis to meet up with Meech and handle some business. But before he goes, he meets up with Wanda, and we find out that Wanda is no longer working at the hair salon and is now getting a job at City Hall. This is also where we get the first scene where Terry's basically, he's wanting out. He no longer wants to be in the game anymore after the whole Mexico trip. We still haven't seen yet what caused the whole rift between them in Mexico, but we saw here in this scene that he wants out of the deal, and he's starting to ask Wanda to hold some money for him as backup since he wants to get out of the game. When I first saw him give her the money, I thought he was going to ask her to start washing it.
Me too. Through the salon?
Yeah, or through City Hall or something. But I really thought, I was like, oh, he giving her this bread to wash. And I was like, I know damn well Wanda ain't about to wash that because he could have did that long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
Like Wanda, like, I'm riding with you, but at the same time, like, I ain't getting involved in none of that stuff with you. So back down in Atlanta, dang, why I forget his name that quick?
Detective Mark Bryant.
Yeah, Detective Bryant. So we got Detective Bryant, who's talking to none other than Officer Hardy, and he puts down a picture of Meech and Duffy on surveillance at the car dealership. And Officer Hardy tells him, like, yeah, I know him. Like, we roughed him up a couple of times, sent him home with a good beating. But that was about it. They haven't done anything. And he tells Officer Bryant, like, that, if you want to find Duffy, because Officer Bryant finds out Duffy has a warrant from Detroit, which Duffy spoke about, I think, in episode 2. So he wants to find him, and Officer Bryant tells him, like, excuse me, y'all, for getting the names mixed up. Officer Hardy tells him that, hey, this type of dude right here, you're going to have to find him in a strip club. He likes to type to throw around money, so if you want to do surveillance, that's where you need to do surveillance at. So in St. Louis, we got Meech here, who is giving Javier and Loco a tour of their new warehouse, showing them exactly where the cars are going to be, where they can store all the work, store them all in the cars and whatnot. And during the process, Loco tells him that the cartel wants their money for the move and for all of the people who got unalived at the airport, which means we have not seen that episode. I mean, we have not seen that episode yet, or at least that scene as of yet to what Loco is referring to, which also could be what has caused the division between Meech and Terry. In this scene, also, Loco asks about Jay Pusher and wonder where he is, and Meech tells him that he's going to meet with him later on, and Loco says that he wants to be there. But Meech doesn't want him to be there, which I get, but I'm still confused on that because it's like, I know you want him to stay out of sight as he's the plug, but I'm thinking like, who don't know that he's the plug? Like,
I can't remember previously, but I don't think Jay Pusher or anybody else met him besides Meech and Southwest T. I don't remember anybody else ever seeing Loco. I don't recall.
I have to go back last season. I could have swore, oh, you know what? That's a totally different dude. And I'm thinking that's the one who retrofitted all the vans and stuff. Because I was about to say, yeah, Duffy and them met him in Atlanta. But you know what? You might be right. But yeah, I'm thinking just because of the end, or maybe Jay Pusher just knew he was the plug. Because I'm like, what was the point of Jay Pusher pulling up on him at the end if he didn't think he was the plug? Or if he ain't know. So maybe he just figured out like, yeah, he the plug or whatever.
Right.
So Meech picks up Terry from the airport in St. Louis, and Terry speaks to him about meeting with Loco, to where Meech says, I've already met with him. Everything is all good to go. And of course, Terry doesn't like that because he's like, again, you making moves without me. We're supposed to be partners, and yet I still don't know nothing. Which I feel Terry on that. It's like, bro, if we partners, like we in this 50-50, you got to tell me something. Like, it basically seemed like I'm your worker and not your partner. Like, because you making all the moves and I don't know nothing. So at the same time, Meech lets Terry know that him and Jay Pusher need to squash their whole little rift and everything as they're moving forward, and they about to get ready to make some big moves. And Tia Blah just like, okay, cool, no problem. I'll squash it so that we can move forward, but you know, we still got to let him know who's boss. Back here at the restaurant, we got Charles and none other than Cecilia and Nikki. And Charles tells
got some words for Nikki too.
What'd he say?
I got some words for Nikki.
Yeah, right, Nikki. Nikki Wild.
Yeah, I got some words for Nikki.
So yeah, he tells her that he got the dinner date all set up and everything. And at first I was actually shocked that Nikki was like cool with it, but then I realized like this ain't the same Nikki, and she just like, you know what I'm saying, like she told Charles straight up, you know, have fun, I just want to see you happy. And so at first I was like, damn, I thought for sure Nikki was gonna be like, you too, like you can't. But then it hit me like, you know, this is a totally different Nikki. And then plus the conversation they had when she told them about her getting a full ride. And during the process, Nikki is go over to take an order, or at least that's what she thinks, and meets none other than Worm. And Worm informs her like, hey, you know, I'm just here so to watch over you and give you a ride home. And Nikki's like, nah, I'm good. I don't need no ride home. I'm an adult. And Worm is like, nah, I'm in bad with your brother right now, so I need this help. If you can help me.
Broke the uniform policy.
Broke the uniform. Yep, the uniform policy. Like, so I really need you to work with me so that I can get back on your brother's good side. And tells Nikki that he will be back up to the restaurant to pick her up later after her shift. After saying this, I knew exactly where this was going.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I knew exactly where this was going between them two. I was like, yep. I was like, okay, it's about that. I was like, either something about to happen while Nikki's with him, or yeah, it's setting them up for like a little
little
love
fling.
triangle type thing. Just the way she was looking at him when he left. So here we got Markeisha, as she's going to visit none other than Boom in jail. And while visiting Boom in jail, she asked him, does he know anything about Isaac, as she went to go meet up with Isaac and realized that it was none other than the Sting.
Can we please take her? Please take her. I'm tired of her. Can we please get rid of her? Please.
And then also in the process, she lies to Boom, manipulates him, tell him, I love you. It's me and you together to the end. But she also is trying to find another way to get another supplier or another person that she can work with, as she lies to Boom and says, the money is running short. And Boom is like, right now, if Isaac is hot, like, we got to let it die down. I'm not about to talk to anybody, which is smart. And it's just like, again, it's showing exactly what T was saying. You're not ready for the game. You're not ready for it at all. If you think Isaac is a snitch or he's been watched by the feds, why would you automatically come back to your husband, who's in jail, by the way, for this thing, and could possibly you trying to talk more business with him in front of a guard, in front of everybody, and get him adding more time to his sentence. But from the smirk, we know that she was doing none other than manipulate him, and we see that Hoop and B Mickey are the ones who are following the unloyal person that T was worried about. As they're sitting outside of the jail cell, Boom and B Mickey, they have some words, have a little discussion, and talk about, B Mickey, I guess, quote unquote, being unloyal. But then Hoop also happens to bring up what was her name?
Kato.
Yeah. Well, happens to bring up Kato, to which B Mickey lets Hoop know that, like, yeah, I had to put it down, but after I put it down, I also found out she was carrying my seed. So
I got something to say about this scene. It went to, like, I don't know if he had his wallet or he was just tapping on his wallet and then tapping on his knee or something like that. Was I the only one that thought like something else was up with B Mickey when he was doing all that? Like, he was very fidgety.
Yeah, at first I thought it was just like I was trying to figure that out too, because I was like, before I saw the jail joint, I was like, yo, like, are they about to get ready to air somebody out or something? Because he just, like you said, he looked real nervous. He just kept tapping on the wallet, kept looking at the picture of his daughter, Vera, and I was like, what's going on? I was like, I guess maybe I'm thinking like he doesn't want to be in the game, but he's only back in the game because he needs the money to pay for his daughter's surgery and those type of things, her health problems. But yeah, I got that same vibe. Like, yo, he was mad, nervous or something like that. So back down here in Atlanta, we got Trail here at his home to be where he's fake drowning. I'm gonna assume some type of DJ, as he's yelling at the guy like, I told you to play this record over and over on your station. You're not listening to me. Like, so this is the way that Trail handles it. And like, yo, you gonna play the record that I told you to play how many times I told you to play. And then
who is he supposed to be in this? And like, you think this is just them embellishing a little bit, or you think this is actual?
Yeah, I think they're embellishing a little bit. I've seen a lot of people who think this is Diddy. This is not Diddy. I think y'all are thinking this now because of the whole case and everything that happened, and of course, seeing when he was making the band. But this is not Diddy, and the reason I'll tell you that is because, one, we're in '95. So this is like the height of Bad Boy. It would be no reason for Diddy to be in Atlanta. I've seen people say like, yeah, man, that's Diddy. The bodyguard
I read that
him is Wolf, and that type of stuff. And I'm like, it's '95. I'm like, why would he be in Atlanta? Like, there's no reason, because like the South scene hasn't even jumped off like at a full scale yet. Like, so it would be no purpose for him to be in Atlanta. I don't know who this producer could be, but I'm thinking, like you said, this is something where like they just kind of embellished it and wrote it into the storyline just to make it better, just to show how they get to the whole, making that whole record label stuff like that. Because like there's nobody I could think of, because I'm like, especially in Atlanta during that time, I'm like, it possibly could be a producer or a record label owner or some sort that was in Atlanta at this time. But I know one thing for sure, is definitely not Diddy. And as he's doing that, Purdy walks in and catches him, pushing the man down into the sink full of water, kind of quote unquote drowning him. And we kind of see why now Purdy is hooked on coke. And Trail also lets her know that, now that you're here, you're about to be in a girl group. She thought that Trail was going to let her rap, and he's like, nah, you're going to stay a singer, but now you're about to be in a girl group. And Purdy's not liking that. She said, they're coming in and they're jumping in on my success for my song. And we see Trail get a little threatening and let her know, like, you belong to me, so you're going to do what I say. And of course, Purdy gets scared, and then she happens to go and do a line. So we can see exactly how and why she is a cokehead, as Trail is putting so much pressure on her, scaring the hell out of her, and basically filling her up with drugs to try to keep her in line to do whatever it is that he wants her to do. So back in St. Louis, as we see Jay Pusha is fitting out his crib with video games and that different type of stuff. They start to talk about the tier, as Carter, his brother, is bringing in another video game system. And we also found out that Carter ends up losing one of his fingers. They didn't say why, if I remember. I don't think they said why he lost one of his fingers.
Carter lost one of his fingers because he was kidnapped in the last season.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Last season, he was kidnapped last season, so that messed up any of his chances of playing baseball. So we saw the little resentment right there from Carter, which we see more once we get to those scenes. But here, Terry throws out the olive branch and was like, hey man, look, want to squash everything. Let's move forward. But before we do, we need to make sure that, the ranking system. Like, we top dogs, you work for us, you answer to us. So you cannot make any moves without letting us know or even getting our blessing. And Jay Pusha using this, St. Louis lingo, like, my bad, dirty. Like I said, I'm just glad to be a part of the team. I want to keep working. You know what I'm saying? And let's get this money. But I kind of saw Meech like kind of reiterate it again. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you did good, but you still stepped out of line, which was shocking for me, because I thought for sure he was going to tell T, like, nah, man, like, all right, cool, we good. He did good. But I was shocked that he actually like reiterated, like, nah, you work for us. So after that, they end up going to a riverboat type of casino thing in St. Louis. And we got Jay Pusha and Meech and all of them. And as we can see, Loco is there as well. And while he's there, Loco is just giving Jay Pusha the side eye. Like, he knew off the break something was wrong with him. Like, he ain't say no word. Dimitri lied. It was like, nah, this is my uncle, which is just like, y'all don't even look alike. But he's like, this is my uncle. He don't say too much. He just here just to hang out, have a good time. And during that, we get introduced to some new characters, which is none other than Rudy and the Moors, that we find out from Carter, who have a little beef with Jay Pusha. Now, they didn't say exactly why they have a beef with Jay Pusha, but we know from Carter that they have a beef with Jay Pusha, and they give him hell every time he's up in the casino, playing the games and that type of stuff like that. And, man, Carter was lit. Carter was throwing them joints back like it was water. Like, he was throwing them joints left and right. And T's like, man, look, don't even do that. Like, the easiest way to get back at them is to hurt their pockets. So
Man,
it's like
I knew Carter was projecting. You know, the moment that I saw him and he was throwing back all that stuff, he pissed off or he's mad at Jay Pusher because he feels as though that Jay Pusher is the reason that he's not playing baseball. If Jay Pusher wasn't his brother, he wouldn't have never got kidnapped. He would have never lost his finger. So he's just pretty much just mad at the world and definitely Jay Pusher because of what happened to him.
Yep.
Reckless abandon.
Yeah, because as he's constantly drinking, he ends up almost getting into a full altercation with Rudy and the Moors again. And Jay Pusher comes to try to grab him, and he pushes him off like, "Hey man, don't touch me." And when they get back to land, Terry's the one that drives them back, and this is kind of where like we kind of find more input as far as like, you know, Jay Pusher and the Moors, as well as he blames his brother 100% for him not being able to play baseball, because if it wasn't for his brother, he wouldn't be in any of that mess. He wouldn't have to deal with any of that mess. And T is somewhat agreeing with him in the sense like, yeah, I feel you, because it's the same way with Meech. Like, if it wasn't for my brother, I would have never got shot. And it didn't even hit me. But
the crazy thing is that Meech didn't put him in that car and tell him to come on. T got in the car with him. Jay Pusher was thrown into this situation. He had nothing to do with nothing. T got to stop doing that.
Yeah. I was also shocked that it didn't even occur to me until this scene right here where he took his glasses off and he was talking about him getting shot and his eye all messed up. You know, people have been messing with him for the longest time. It didn't even click that. I was like, yo, you know what? Since then, we really ain't seen T too much without glasses on.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's when it clicked. I was like, damn, you know what? I don't know why it clicked when he showed the face. Like, although earlier in the episode, he was talking to Wanda without the glasses, he took them off. But I was like, this season, like, he's wearing the glasses like more heavily to cover up his eyes.
And he's like that in real life too.
Yeah, he's like that in real life as well. So, but yeah, just like you said, man, like T gotta stop doing that. But we know, like, this season is where we probably about to get the I think by the end of the season is probably where we're gonna get the BMF, and his crew was 263, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I think by the end of the season is where we're gonna get the 2 split crews.
I got a question.
Go ahead.
What's the purpose of Cecilia?
I think the purpose of Cecilia is just to move Charles' story along, because there's kind of like no other. I mean, there is a purpose for Charles being there, but at the same time, it's just kind of like, besides him beefing with Lucille, what else is there for him? Like, you know what I'm saying? So I think like they just wrote this into, because I have a feeling after this, we probably not even gonna see Cecilia no more.
Yeah,
we might see her once, and she probably ain't even gonna want to deal with Charles no more. But
I think have some closure.
Yeah, I think it's just was like, yeah, it's just showing that the marriage between him and Lucille is like actually over. So like the fans who watching the show won't be thinking at any point in time like, oh yeah, they might get back together, which we know in real life they never did. But I think that's pretty much what this is. Well, Charles is out with Cecilia, and they're out, and during the course of them talking, which I knew was about to happen, Cecilia is telling her backstory and talking about her ex-husband, how he just pops up, follows her around everywhere, stuff like that. And that's why she had been dating for quite a while. And sure enough, as soon as she says that, her ex-husband pops up from behind the truck. And I was like, yeah, right on clockwork. I knew that was coming.
Mm-hmm.
So Charles tries to chill, like, nah, man, we don't need to fight. But bro wasn't having it. And Charles laid hands on that man, beat the brakes off of him.
Yeah, he gave him work.
Yeah, he gave some work. So now I kind of see, like, because was it the first season? Was it the first season he was about to fight Meech? I think it was the first season. Your mic on mute, bro. But I think it was the first season he was about to.
Yeah, choked him up.
Yeah, and I think right then we should have got the whatchamacallit, because Meech ain't never fight back. And Cecilia is screaming like, stop. You know, she's scared to death. And I'm just like, You literally said, yeah, you said your ex-husband is following you. Charles didn't start it. Like, yeah, he beating the brakes off him and might accidentally kill him, but it's like you scream and stop it. Like, you should just be sitting there like, finally somebody don't put him in his place. But yeah, I think after that, just by her face, like that relationship, that whole
how she looking at Charles like he the monster. Like this dude's gonna forever stalk you probably. But that's why I said I don't understand like the purpose of the. We could have pushed the storyline of Charles being a separate man, forward in a different way, introducing another character into it. That's why I was just thinking like, what's the purpose of introducing her? And like, what role is she gonna play into this? Is she gonna have a bigger role because we didn't need her?
Yeah, I'm also, now that you said it, I'm thinking maybe like this is showing, like they're showing like all the Charles that we knew, that we've seen is not the Charles like that we know. Like there's another side of Charles that we don't know. So I kind of feel like maybe the next episode or something, we're gonna see like a flashback of something that Charles did way back in the day or something like that. Like we've seen, only Charles we've seen is the hardworking man, working at the plant, also trying to chase his dreams, with the music and the good times and all that different stuff. But now we see like
side pieces.
Yeah. And now we see like this totally different Charles where like it's just like he got, what I'm saying, like he kind of got like a little anger towards him where like, don't mess with Charles. Man, as again, like I said, I saw it coming earlier. So Worm is finally giving I'm gonna call her Lucille 2.0. But it's giving Nikki a ride home, and that's where we find out we get a little background on Worm, and we find out Worm is only into the game just so that he can pay for school, as he goes to Wayne State, and he's basically doing that so he can pay for his tuition as well as take care of his family. And once he's done graduating, he's going to be out of the game for good, which Nikki is taking a liking to, which we all saw coming, and she respects that and actually likes that about Worm. That
look at her, she looks elated. Look at her.
Reason why he's in the game, and I'm thinking like, now granted, yes, last episode, our boyfriend, I guess we can call him our boyfriend Breeze, he saw the chicks at school and kind of ran off and everything. I'm just but like, damn, I'm like already, like Nikki, like we ain't even, what I'm saying? Like we ain't even get that far in the season yet.
The problem I have with this, I don't have a problem, like especially because Breeze ran off and he did whatever he did that we necessarily didn't see because he's not a main character. Scratch that. Really don't care about any of that. The problem that I have with that is Nikki should know better, just like my man should know better, because he works for your brother in a different level. He don't work for your brother as a guy in a restaurant or something like that who's just serving tables. He works for your brother's enterprise, his criminal enterprise. And you decide that both of y'all make the conscious decision to do whatever it is that y'all gonna do because you go to Wayne State University? What? I mean, Wayne State University is not a major institution by any stretch of the imagination. It's like in downtown Detroit. But whatever, it's a very, very small college in Detroit. But regardless of any of that, he still works for your brother. Like he's still a part of the criminal organization for your brother. He's not busting down tables, and it's not like he know the guy. He got bust down to do this duty in order to get back up because he broke union laws or whatever he did, the uniform law. Yeah, I think they both were stupid.
Yeah, they both was, and I was going to touch on that when we got to a certain scene, but I'm also thinking that they're writing this to show like just how far gone like Nikki is.
Yeah,
like he's not for sure the Nikki that, the same way with Charles, this is not the Nikki that we know. Like she's so far gone now that like she really don't care no more. She's doing whatever.
To Wayne State University.
And this is right here where I was going. No, the other scene. Once we get to it, we'll speak on it. But she's back home with Wanda, getting a new hairstyle that she wanted. And Wanda kind of peeps already, like, yo, like, who you getting all dolled up for? Like, you know what I'm saying? And she's made the statement like, damn, can any of y'all flinneries had one person? And Nikki ends up telling her about Worm, and Wanda tried to give her some game right then and there. Let her know, like, hey, you know how dangerous this is. Like,
All right. Somebody gonna get situated behind this.
somebody's gonna get situated. Like, just like you said, first off, he works for your brother. Two, he's in the game, and like, you is cutting too close to home. Like, you don't even know how dangerous this is.
Do you think Nikki was doing that necessarily just to piss her brothers off?
It could be, possibly. It possibly could be, but I think at the same time, like, uh,
And she just don't know how close to the sun she's flying towards, But I think maybe because she's just so pissed off with them, like, yeah, she's working at Terry's restaurant, but she don't want to accept any of their money.
Yeah.
She just kind of just want to earn it herself. She had the car situation that happened, along with her last dude that she was with. He ended up getting situated by Lamar. Do you think at this point she's just doing it just to be vindictive?
It could. I think, you know what? I think it's a bit of both. I think she's doing it to be vindictive. As just like you stated, the first one got, he got unalived by Lamar, which had something to do with, of course, Terry and Meech. And then it's like, Breeze is down there in Atlanta and she's back at home, and we saw that their last conversation. So she's like, okay, something's off right then and there. Because I thought for sure when she went to Atlanta that we was going to see a scene where both of them meet up or have like a conversation, and he's going to be like, oh, no, I'm busy. Like, I can't hang out. You know what I'm saying? And then that's when she was going to get a little inklings like, oh, he down here messing around while I'm back at home. And then third, I think it's just that she's so young and impressionable. Because, like, Wanda is, like I said, like, Wanda could tell, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you still young, you still impressionable, that when she heard dude say, like, what he's doing it for, immediately she's like, oh my God, like,
you in school, you go to Wayne State University, and
like,
you
taking care of your family. Like, okay, you just not in it just to be in it. Like, you got a purpose with a goal in mind. And it kind of
most people do, Nikki.
But you know what it kind of reminded me of? When he said that and they had the whole discussion, I'm thinking that, like, she's thinking about, like, somebody like her father, because remember, he has his old goals, and she told him, keep chasing your dream, keep doing the music thing. And so she hearing dude say that, and she's like, oh, okay, you got some goals. Like, I like this. Like, okay, this might be somebody, that, like, I want to have a future with, because, like, in her mind, she's probably like, she thinks she's like 26, 27, but in reality, she's just 19. She 18, 19. She don't even know the real world yet. So, back at B Mickey's crib, as he comes home, if you saw our predictive video, we got this totally wrong. We thought it was a letter from Aisha that was somewhat leaving them, had something to do with her daughter, but it's none other than a letter from the church as B Mickey comes home, and it's from Mama Lucille, telling that they were able to get some money from the benevolent fund to help out with his daughter's surgery. And she also tells him that she wants him to keep on going in the straight and narrow path that he's been going, and don't be, the man that he used to be. And I think him reading that also affected him, because the face afterwards, which lets me know again, which tells me at least that, like, he really don't want to be in the game, but he's only in it just for his daughter. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he needs that bread. So back in Atlanta, Detective Brian, along with Officer Hardy, they're back at the precinct, and Brian asks Hardy to roll with him to the Platinum Palace so that he can do a little stakeout on Duffy. And Hardy lets him know, like, I can't because of one, we're cleaning up all this different stuff for the Olympics, which that should have gave me a clue. That should have gave us a clue last episode and whatnot, what year we were in, because we know the Olympics happened in '96. So it should have let me know what year we were in, since we were confused by the year. But he tells Brian, like, what do you say, Jack?
But it was like, to me, what threw me off was, unless I'm wrong, let's say they did something prior to, they didn't get into the music part of it until the 2000s. That's what I'm saying. Like, what's the jump? Because they didn't get into it until 2000. We talking 2002, 3, 4, somewhere in that area. So now we looking at 95, and then the Aqua Jacket that came out in 93. So I'm just looking at things, and I'm just like, it's a, and he don't have a ponytail again. But I'm just looking at the things, and I'm just like, it's a.
I'm with you on that. I'm with you on that, because unless they started it early and we found nothing about it, like they didn't say anything about it. Maybe they tried their hand and it didn't work out, and then they tried again back in the 2000s.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, because I'm with you, because I've never heard anything. Even watching the people from the clique in the documentaries.
That's what I was about to get ready to say. I tried doing some research on it once they introduced the Stomping Ground records, and I found nothing.
Yeah, nothing at all. So, Hardy tells him he has to do it himself because, too many of the people in there would recognize him and they would end up, running away. And then in the process, Detective Brian has a memory of his son as Hardy's eating a Pop-Tart and asks him, has he ever tried it with peanut butter? Which Hardy's like, man, that's nasty. And Brian's like, yeah, I know. As we saw him try the Pop-Tart with peanut butter with his son Kevin before he unalived himself. So here we got Hoop and B Mickey again, which they are still keeping tabs on Markeisha. And we see Markeisha with none other than Officer Vince. And at first, I was like, damn. I was like, you don't went back to Vince? I'm like, man, what's going on? But we find out that she's going to Vince because she's trying to find out some information as far as Isaac is concerned, to see if he's a snitch or if he's being watched or whatnot. But the Mickey and Hoop don't know that. They automatically think that she's stepping out on T or setting him up, as the first time they saw her, she went to go meet with Boom, and now she's meeting with Vince. So automatically they're like, yo, she's being disloyal. She's trying to line him up, set him up. And they're like, who's going to call T to let him know exactly what they found out? And Hoop's like, we got to tell him, but he ain't going to like it. Back at the crib, we see Mama Lucille with the pawn shop receipt where she finally pawned her wedding ring to get some money. And Charles rolls up in the room and tells her the good news that, the tour is back on, and probably, I think he said like 2 months or so.
2 months, yeah.
Yeah, 2 months. And that's where Lucille is like, no, matter of fact, she like, yeah, that's good. Now that you'll be gone in 2 months, now I can, finally apply for welfare. And Charles is like, damn, like, the first thing you think about is some money. Like,
there's some free government bread.
Some free government bread. Like, and the crazy thing about it is, it's like, yo, Charles been saying, like, yo, I'm here, I'll help you. But you're so determined to be like, nah, I don't need your money. And I'm just like, the nigga's there. Like,
but instead, you rather collect welfare, Lucille, because you listen like, to what was the cousin or whoever that was you listened to?
Yeah, her cousin is still.
Yeah, crazy.
Like, yeah, like Charles said, I damn near built this house like brick by brick. I done did everything in this joint, and now all of a sudden, like, I guess because our whole, of course, our marriage fell apart, which it did. You got your get back with, with, as Jack and George say, Dr. Feel Good. Like, but yet you still won't allow me to do anything. Like we saw in the last episode, her talking about child support. And it's like, you want him to pay child support, but you don't want him to help out in the house. Like, so. But Charles wasn't feeling that. And just walks off. So here we got Nikki in the restaurant with Worm. The first thing in my head I'm trying to think of is, one, why both of y'all are still in the restaurant by yourself, number one. Two, who was it that said, oh yeah, Nikki can close up the restaurant? And then three, this is right here when I was like, yo, you gotta, as a man, like Worm, like, bruh, you are crossing huge boundaries.
Flying too close to the sun.
Like, bruh, you know damn well you were working for her brother. And what will happen if he found out that y'all were messing around? And then on top of that, y'all do it in the man restaurant? Like, wilding. And then it also showed right here, I was like, damn, Nikki, I was like, you being just like Mama Lucille said you would be, hot. You out there being fast. Like, damn, already?
It's just bad, man, because wait, you think he don't want to get her pregnant?
I was gonna get to that when we get to the previews of the next joint. But I thought for sure in this scene somebody was gonna walk in and catch him like Hoop or somebody. I thought for sure they were gonna get caught. I didn't think it was gonna be T.
I ain't gonna lie, for a split second I thought he was gonna stop her and be like, wait, I work for your brother. You know, and then maybe she have a conversation trying to swim, like, my brother, what are you talking about?
Nah.
You better.
I knew that as soon as he said you got lip gloss all over the blunt and it tastes good. I was like, okay, I see exactly where you going with this. Like, you don't even really care. But I thought for sure like Hoop or somebody. I didn't think it was gonna be T, but I thought Hoop or somebody was gonna end up coming and catching them up in the joint. So back down in Atlanta, we got the whole gang along with Tina, and they are celebrating as Tina was able to get them tickets to go to the Source Awards. And they let Purdy know that, like, hey, we got you to go to the Source Awards, and you also going to be our first artist on Stomp the Ground Records.
She said, ink me.
T makes it official, gives her a whole iced out chain, lets her know, like, hey, like, you here now. Duffy's like, yo, let's go celebrate. And Meech is like, nah, we got to go to New York. You know what I'm saying? You could go ahead and handle, you know, the celebration while we get everything ready to go to New York. And Meech, of course, is making sure that Maria is going to go to New York as well. And Maria's like, don't worry, I got her. You know, everything's good, which like we've stated a million times, we already know this is going to be Meech's love interest. I'm wondering, but I could be wrong, and I think I am wrong. I'm wondering if Maria's going to be the one that's going to be like, which is Meech's mother in real life. It's who I'm wondering. But I think Meech wasn't born to like 2000s though. In real life.
Yeah, I think he's like 23.
Yeah, he's still young. So I think I don't even think he's 25. He might be like 25, but I don't think he was born in the 90s. I feel like if he was, maybe like 99, because when Big Meech got arrested in real life,
he's born in 2000.
Okay, yeah, I was like, he was like 2 or 3, because I remember seeing him on the Smack DVDs on with BMF and all of them. So Detective Bryant is up in Platinum Palace, and of course, none other than Lucky is giving him somewhat of a lap dance. Now, when I first saw this, I thought Bryant was like, he knew like Lucky was connected to Meech of some sort and was going to try to get some information like out of Lucky. And in the process, he sees Duffy over in the corner as well, getting a dance, and he has his eyes on Duffy. And Duffy ends up seeing that Detective Brown is in there getting a dance. And of course, as soon as he sees that, he gets up out of there immediately before Brian can even figure out exactly where he went or what happened. And because of this, he tells Lucky to get the hell out of his face, since he's pissed off that Duffy is no longer in the club. Here, B Mickey rolls up on Hoop to where Hoop tells him about T, where he gave T the information about Marquisha. Says that's the angriest he's ever heard T, so he's not even sure what's going to happen, but at the same time he also gives him payment for his help And B Mickey is somewhat, it seemed like at first like he didn't really want the money, but he took it. As he stated, this is more than enough to pay for her next surgery. And we kind of see like B Mickey and Hoop kind of somewhat getting back cool again. And everything, as they dap each other up. Hoop is like, I don't know what T's got planned next, but just be on standby or whatnot, and I'll let you know what's going on. So here we have Maria and Purdy out there in New York as they're getting ready for the Source Awards, and of course Big Meat shows up, throws this little Mac game at Maria, says, hey, you should come with us to the Source Awards, which she's like, nah, I got other stuff to do, and she wants to know the real Meech. But we also see that we find out that Maria wants to do a makeup line for Black women. So she has somewhat of goals and ambition for herself, which I'm pretty sure we'll probably see Meech try to get that dream become a reality for Maria. And we see Purdy's over in the corner, just, doing blow, which is still surprising to me. And I'm still wondering if Maria knows, like, because I see Purdy not being around long enough just because of this habit. And essentially T is probably gonna be the one like, yo, we gotta get rid of her for like something's gonna go wrong. I don't know what it is, and it could be from the previews for the next episode, but something's gonna go wrong enough where like they're not gonna keep Purdy around that much longer. And they all stroll into the Source Awards. Now this was one of the dopest parts, in my opinion, of the episode, as we see
nostalgic.
It was nostalgic. I was like, damn, here we got Biggie and Faith, backstage. We see the whole Death Row crew, which they're supposed to be Suge. And if in real life what happened at the 95 Source Awards, then there was a whole back and forth between Bad Boy.
Everybody dancing on in the videos.
Yep, that's where Suge made his infamous statement. That's where Snoop hopped on the stage. Y'all ain't got no love for Death Row. And
Outkast made their statement too. South got something to say about it.
Yep, that's where Outkast made this infamous statement. Dre said the South got something to say. We also see Bone Thugs and Harmony. Well, I remember
that was kind of perfect casting for Bone Thugs. I ain't even gonna lie,
bro, for sure. That definitely, that was perfect for them. I was like, man, it was funny because before they even showed the name on the wall, I knew exactly who they were. I said, oh, that's Bone. Yeah, I said that's Bone for sure. I was like,
Busy.
Yep,
crazy,
crazy.
That's Busy.
Yeah, lazy. I was like, this the Thuggish Rugged Bone days right there.
For sure.
And then we get, of course, this character who's playing Left Eye.
This is just a quick trip down memory lane. I remember it was a award show where TLC was talking about getting screwed over by the industry. Was this the award show when they mentioned that? Was it on this source? Because I'm thinking because they put emphasis on this. Was it?
It was like they got the one where like they're doing an interview and talking about how broke they are.
Yeah.
No, that was the American Music Awards.
Okay. All right. Wasn't sure.
Yeah, that was the American Music Awards. I remember that one faithfully because they holding the awards while they talking about it at the same time. And I think it was for their second album. I think it was for Waterfalls.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it was for Waterfalls. That was on their second album. What was that? Crazy. Yeah, Crazy Sexy Cool for that second album. But here we get Left Eye, and she's meeting with Purdy and the BMF crew, and she kind of gives her like, a little bit of game about the industry, how they should move in the industry, how the industry is, and Purdy, of course, thanks her, whatnot. And Purdy was also given, which is not seen here, but if you saw her dress in the episode, Aaliyah had something on similar, dress similar around that time as well. So I felt like they was giving a nod to Aaliyah. And as they walk off, Trail ends up coming and seeing that they are at Social Seas, that Purdy's at the Social Awards. This scene right here, folks, should definitely let you know this is not Diddy, because if you've ever saw or if ever seen any of those things, the videos, the pictures at the 95 Social Awards, Diddy was nowhere near dressed like this. Diddy had
a jersey on.
Yep, he had the Bad Boy jersey on, had the fitted hat on, everything. So this should let you know right here, this is not Diddy. I know he's giving the Diddy vibes or whatever, but this is not Diddy. But Trail's trying to figure out exactly how Purdy got there, why is Purdy there, and that's what Meech and T tells him that like, yo, she's our artist now. She's rolling with us. She wants to rap and sing, so she's rolling with us. And Trail's like, nah, like she's still under contract to me. And they almost get into a whole scuffle. And then Trail is just like, you know what, y'all can have her. Which I knew that was a lie. I'm like, you know, be under contract, ain't no way you just about to, you know what I'm saying, you just about to give her away. But T and Meech also said that, yo, we'll buy her out of her contract. And we're going to see that whole contract situation on the next episode, as we saw in the previews. It's right here, and it's crazy that this is one thing, folks, that me and Jack, we've been saying since we started covering BMF. Like, it's hard sometimes because we know it says at the beginning the stories are embellished for entertainment and that type of stuff. But it's hard when you know the real story, because we know the real story. Jay Pusha was in no way, shape, or front a snake like this. Like,
nah, he was the man. He was they people that was, you know, holding it down for the, you know, expanding the Midwest.
Mm-hmm. He was very pivotal to BMF. So like when I see it every time, I have to tell myself, yo, this is entertainment. It's entertainment. Like whatchamacallit, you know, it's not real. So we have Jay Pusha here, who meets Javier and Loco at the airport, and they're wondering where Meech is at. And Jay Pusha feeds them somewhat of a lie and says that, you know, his head ain't on straight. He not here. You know, he went to New York. But since he went to New York, you know what I'm saying? Like, you saw what I did with those bricks, with those keys. Why don't we talk about something moving forward where Meech is not involved? And immediately you can see Loco face, like, he probably suspected from jump, like, yo, this dude is a rat. And Javier's just like, yeah, you did good. We'll talk about it later. So that's just got me wondering.
They gonna tell Meech.
What do you say?
They gonna tell Meech.
Yeah, I'm wondering. What I'm wondering is if Loco's ever going to get the chance to tell Meech. Because like since we're only on episode 4 and this is happening, I'm wondering if Meech is not going to find out either till late, or he never finds out at all, because they, like, Loco and them never give the chance. Like, they never get a chance to tell him, you know, the moves that Pusha is making. Is what I'm thinking somewhat. So on the next episode, we see they're ramping up to get Purdy career taken off with Stomping Ground Records, as they are making posters, CDs, all this different type of stuff to push her forward, as the flyer right there that says R&B princess turned hip hop queen. So they are launching her as a rapper and not a singer. And we also see where T and Marquisha meet up, and Marquisha is telling him, like, yo, I'm doing this to make sure that we're covered. But of course, you know, he's still not gonna believe her. He's gonna question her loyalty once again, and he got every right to question her loyalty, because
should be
you moving funny. And I have also a feeling that he's gonna reiterate to her again, this is why I say you were not ready for the game, and why you should not be in the game, because the way you moving, you gonna get us all hemmed up. But of course, you know, Marquisha wants to be the big boss, and she's like, yo, you know, like, I'm making sure that we're good. So that's why I went to Vince. That's why I went to Boom. I'm just trying to find out the stuff that I can on Isaac so that we're good. Here, we got Meech and T, who come to a radio station, which I'm sure is them asking why Purdy's new record for them hasn't been played. And the DJ tells them, like, yo, you gotta go holler at Trail about that, which shows me that Trail is basically blackballing them and making sure that all the DJs in Atlanta are not playing and won't play Purdy's new record that she's recorded for their Stomping Ground record label. And they meet up with Trail, of course, to discuss the whole contract thing, but I think it's going to be way more than that, just from Trail's I forgot what he says right here, but it's something that he says that, like, it's beyond paperwork at this point. Like it's something deeper. So I'm wondering. I also wonder like if he's going to touch on Purdy and her drug use habits and stuff like that. And I'm wondering if maybe this is where they find out.
I wonder is he gonna maybe discuss some bread that also Purdy may owe, because it's like when you talking about like maybe get them per diems and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
They give them the money in order for them to fund all this stuff, but the record label is expecting them to pay that money back. So that could be it too. That was my initial thought is like, man, he's telling them like, nah, she owed, this is the contract, but she owed like, we didn't invest like $3 million into her or something like that.
Yeah, I
didn't even think about the drug thing.
Yeah, it probably is. You probably right with that one. He probably is, but I don't know what it is because of the way they're presenting Trail, like, I feel like it's gonna be something bigger.
And I think he's a sucker.
Yeah, and they gonna go at it, like if because we see, which we'll get to that scene, like it's something bigger that we haven't found out yet. And here we got none other than Duffy and Meech as they riding around and they bump into Detective Brian. I'm thinking at this point, Brian is probably, I don't know, just trying to scare him, because I don't think at this point, like, there's nothing he could bring Meech in on. He might try to grab Duffy to bring him in on the warrant that he has out of Detroit, but I'm kind of thinking like he just wants to scare him somewhat. As he still hasn't put the 2 and 2 together that the alias Don Gringo is Duffy. Like they still haven't brought the evidence enough yet that that's who Duffy's alias is. And of course, here we see Nicole taking a pregnancy test. Now, here's what I wanted to ask you, because, and y'all could definitely drop y'all predictions and comments down below on this scene as well. So we saw the season 4 trailer, and remember, there's a funeral in one of the scenes. There's a funeral. In that scene, though, we see Nicole there, and there's a baby stroller behind her, but the guy who was at the stroller looked like Breeze. So I'm trying to figure, like, that's what made me think about that when I saw this, I was like, damn, I was like, man, she got pregnant by Worm. But then I'm like, wait a minute, hold up. I was like, if you go back and watch the trailer, I think it was after episode 1. If you go back and watch that trailer after episode 1 for this season, there's a scene where they are at a funeral, and she's at this funeral, and there's a stroller behind her, and there's a guy who looks exactly like Rodney Breeze, her boyfriend, because he got the hair and everything. It's like tending to the baby. Like my first thought was like, yo, maybe that's Worm in the casket, but then I was like, yeah, that don't make sense, because why would Worm be there? I mean, why would Breeze be there when, you know what I'm saying? Like, or is it gonna be one of those where like it's Worm baby, but she lie and say like, nah, this your baby?
I don't know. So you think Worm? Okay, if I had to put it together, and if it is Worm, then maybe Terry put B Mickey on Worm, and get him situated, possibly, because I can't see who else it would be. But I'm trying to go back to that scene where like who else was there, and I feel like somebody else was like crying heavily when I was watching it. It's Mama Lucille. Okay, so if it's Worm, I don't see Mama Lucille crying that much.
Yeah, that's what it was also making me think.
It has to be somebody that was a little bit closer to the family.
Yeah, because I know I saw some people was just like who thought that was be Mickey as well because of the baby. But then I'm like, as we know the story in real life, Nicole does end up getting pregnant while she's young. But I'm like, if that was B Mickey's daughter, I was like, that doesn't make sense. I was like, because B Mickey's daughter is a toddler, and that stroller that was in that scene was for like an infant, because it was like a bassinet type of stroller. So I don't know, man, because Hoop is there, Terry's there. You might be right. It might be Mickey because I can't see anybody else.
I don't see anybody else where Lucille was kind of losing it like that.
Yeah.
You know, maybe Breeze was close to the family, but Worm is not close to the family at all. They just know Worm from, working with Terry. So I don't know if it's Worm. I can't say that it's Worm. I can say it's either.
I thought about
how big was the casket?
Still, but I'm like, it would make no sense for Hoop to be there.
How big was the casket?
I mean, it was a standard. It was a standard size casket, but
I'm thinking like, did Mickey have his kid?
Yeah, remember Vera we saw Aisha and Vera show up to Nikki's graduation party.
Right, but what I'm saying is, in that scene, did B Mickey have his kid with him? I mean, or did we see B Mickey's kid?
No. There's another girl in that scene that I think is Tina. So that's what's also trying to make me think Les is no, because I don't think she know Duffy like that.
I don't think
it's but my whole focus was just
on know Duffy like that. They don't know Sterl like Sterl. They kind of do know. I'm trying to think. Does Lucille know him like that? It could be Big Mickey's. It could be Mickey's kid.
But I mean, that was a big casket for.
That's why I'm asking. Like, what was the size of the casket? You know what I'm saying?
Also, I can't see why. I think it was either Meech or T. Either Meech or T. One of them is pouring out.
Oh, so definitely not the kid.
Yeah, so it's not a kid. So it has to be. Yeah, I think it might be B Mickey, y'all. I think we lose B Mickey this season. Like,
is it B Mickey or Hoop?
Nah, Hoop is there. Hoop is one of the people at the funeral.
I gotta watch that part again. So
yeah,
it might be B Mickey.
It might be B Mickey because that's the only person that I can see why. Because Charles is there. So like, that's the only person.
Lamar comes back.
I mean,
Lamar comes back to get it, B Mickey. Because why even? Because we ain't seen Lamar since the first episode.
Yeah, that might be it, y'all. Yeah, so that might. But I don't remember Tina meeting B Mickey. But that might not be Tina. The girl that's in that picture does look like Tina, but that might not be Tina. So, but yeah, y'all, I think it might be Mickey. Here's another reason why I think that it's more to the whole Trail and Purdy thing, because in the scene right here, we see Charles' bodyguard is there at Platinum Palace, and we know that he lets off some shots towards Purdy. So maybe Purdy gets hit. Maybe this is where, Purdy's gone. Because, I mean, with her having that coke habit or whatever, I don't see her being around that long. So maybe this is the scene that we get where he unalives Purdy. And maybe that's where, the whole record label thing goes out of the window to later on down the line or whatnot. I'm not 100% sure. But that's it. Please make sure to like and subscribe to the channel, and y'all drop y'all comments and predictions and thoughts and theories underneath this video so we can see exactly what y'all thinking. Before we go, Jack, any last thoughts?
I think we're gonna ramp up the next couple of episodes. I think we get to see more of the business side or legit parts that they're trying to get into the music industry flourish a little bit. It needs to ramp up a little bit, to be honest. This episode was good, but it needs to ramp up. I think we need to, if we gonna use Lamar, let's use him. We haven't seen him in like 3 episodes.
Yep.
We saw him in the very first episodes. If we gonna use him, let's use him. If not, we shouldn't even have brought him back. So I'm kind of waiting for his return. There's a couple of other storylines that I would like to see flourish. There's something that I just want to see go away.
Yeah.
But other than that, that's all I got.
Yeah. For me, I'm with you in the same way. Y'all brought Lamar back. Like, y'all need to, these episodes, they need to ramp up. We need to, which I'm sure they're probably going to stretch it out this whole entire season of what happened in Mexico between Meech and Terry. So I know they probably not going to close that storyline no time soon. But I also feel the same way how you feel about Lamar with B Mickey. I'm like, what's the purpose of bringing B Mickey back if y'all just gonna unalive his character?
Right.
I could have just left him gone, because we know in real life the real B Mickey is still alive, still breathing. He was never a rat and that type of stuff. But you know, like I said before, we know this is entertainment. But yeah, it's just like, if that's the case, like I'm kind of be upset if that is B Mickey in that casket, because it's like, what was the purpose of bringing him back?
You should never brought him back. Could left him gone.
Yeah, just to unalive him. And then of course, like you said, it definitely needs to pick up. We need to start seeing more, which I'm pretty sure we're going to start seeing more of them in St. Louis. I'm thinking maybe by the end of this, T moves out to St. Louis or something, because Meech said that to him in the car. And
but the T was arrested in Florida, like overall though, right? Like at the end,
I thought T got arrested in St. Louis. If we go, we could be wrong. Y'all can let us know. But I think in last season,
I was in Cali.
Nah, maybe was he in Cali? I know Meech got arrested in Texas,
right?
But I could have swore T got arrested in St. Louis.
You're right.
Yeah, because when they did the last season, when they did the fast forward, when Brian and Leslie Jones' character was playing the detective, when they arrest them, they come right in the house. So I wonder if by then he's going to come out there because of Jay Pusha and the whole Morris thing. But also be on the lookout. We will be dropping another prediction video for episode 5 once the pictures come out. So until next week, we will holla at y'all.